All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Grizzly 1976. This is going to be another Adrian recommendation. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was all right. The movie poster looks cool. I like the movie poster. 18 feet of gut crunching, man eating terror. Grizzly. Christopher George, Andrew Pine, and Richard Jaeckel. Grizzly. Grizzly, also known as Killer Grizzly on U.S. television, is a 1976 U.S. horror thriller film directed by William Girdler about a park ranger's attempts to halt the wild rampage of an 18 feet, 5.5 meters tall, 2,000-pound, 910-kilogram man-eating grizzly bear that terrorizes a national forest, having developed a taste for human flesh. However, a drunken hunting party complicates matters. It stars Christopher George, Andrew Pine, also known as Simon, King of the Witches, and Richard Jaeckel, widely considered a Jaws ripoff. Grizzly used many of the same plot devices as its shark predecessor, which had been a huge box office success during the previous year. The giant grizzly bear in the film was portrayed by a Kodiak bear named Teddy, who was 11 feet, 3.4 meters tall. Military veteran helicopter pilot and guide Don Stober, played by Simon, King of the Witches, flies individuals above a national park, and he wants the government to own lots of land because apparently only the government knows how to manage forests. Unless you're in LA, of course. He states that the woods are untouched and remain much as they did during the time when natives lived there. After breaking camp, 2 female hikers are attacked, and the 2 teeny boppers killed by an unseen animal. So at this point, it looks like the bear only likes to kill women, whereas Jeffrey Dahmer, in this movie, the grizzly bear or the Kodiak bear, or whatever that thing is, likes to eat women. Unlike Jeffrey Dahmer, who used to like to eat men. The national park's chief ranger, Michael Kelly, and photographer Allison Corwin decide to follow Ranger to the primitive campsite to check on the hikers. There they discovered the mangled corpses, one of which has been partially buried. We like the off-screen fake blood on this. The low-budget kills are amazing. The explosion at the end is great. The rest of the movie is kind of boring. It plays, I have to warn you, it plays like a television movie. And that's why I wasn't surprised to see that it had a television movie title. Release date May 16th, 1976. Running time 89 minutes. Pretty decent running time. Not bad. Country, United States. Language, English. Budget, $750,000. Box office, $39 million. Are you kidding me? This is a huge hit. They're milking the jaws on this one. At the hospital, a doctor tells Kelly that a large bear killed the girls. The park supervisor, Charlie Kittredge, blames Kelly for the attacks, as the bears were supposed to have been moved from the park by Kelly and naturalist Arthur Scott before the tourist season began. So Charlie Kittredge plays the greedy white male swine of a capitalist pig. He loves media attention, and he allows the campers to become victims of this bear so that he can get more media attention, and he wants to get a promotion from it. Kelly and Kittredge argue over closing the park before deciding to move all hikers off the park's mountain while allowing campers to remain in the lowlands. Kelly calls Scott and informs him of the bear attack. During a search of the mountain, a female ranger stops for a break at the waterfall. She takes off her clothes. She's just in her underwear. That was pretty cool. Too bad there's no nudity other than lingerie in this one. Unaware that the bear is lurking nearby, she is killed while showering in the falls. Again, the bear enjoys female meat. Kelly recruits the helicopter pilot Stober to assist in the search. Flying above the forest, they see Scott adorned in animal skin while tracking the bear, telling him all of the bears are accounted for, and this specific bear is unknown to the forest. Scott also informs them that the animal they are looking for is a prehistoric species of grizzly bears, a fictional Pleistocene epoch Orctodus usus horribilis that stands around 15 feet tall, 4.6 meters, has been around for 1 million years, weighs 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, or 910 to 1,360 kilograms, much larger and heavier than a regular one. And it is hypercarnivorous. Kelly and Stober scoff at the notion. At the busy lowland campground, the grizzly kills another woman. Why is this bear going after women meat? Kelly once again insists on closing the park, but Kittredge still refuses. The attacks are becoming a national news story, and to counteract this, Kittredge allows amateur hunters into the forest. Kelly, Stober, and Stock are disgusted by this development. Later, a lone hunter is chased by the grizzly, but he manages to escape by jumping into a river and floating to safety. Later that night, 3 hunters find a black bear cub. Believing it is a cub of the killer grizzly, they use it as bait for the mother. However, the grizzly finds and eats the cub without the hunters even noticing. Scott concludes that the grizzly is a male, as only male bears are cannibalistic. Kelly assigns fellow ranger Tom at a fire lookout tower on the mountain. However, the grizzly tears down the tower and kills Tom the next day. Kelly and Kittredge get into a heated argument over Kittredge's political ego. On the outskirts of the natural park, a mother and her young child are attacked by a grizzly. Young boy with a little bunny and her skinny, flat-chested mother. The mother is killed while the child survives, albeit severely mutilated. Stunned by this development, Kittredge finally allows Kelly to close down the park and ban all hunters. Stober and Kelly now go after the elusive grizzly alone, setting up a trap by hanging a deer carcass from a tree. The scheme fails as the grizzly takes the bait without getting caught. The next day, Scott, tracking on horseback, finds the remains of the deer carcass and calls Stober and Kelly on the radio. He plans to drag the deer carcass behind his horse and create a trap by leading the grizzly towards them. However, the grizzly ambushes Scott, killing his horse and knocking Scott unconscious. He awakens a short time later to find himself half buried in the ground. Just as he finishes digging himself out, the grizzly returns and it kills him. Kelly and Stober discover Scott's mutilated body, and in despair, they return to the helicopter to track the grizzly from the air. They soon spot the grizzly in a clearing. They soon spot the grizzly in a clearing. The grizzly attacks the helicopter, swiping at the craft and causing Stober to be thrown clear. The grizzly kills Stober before turning on Kelly, who frantically pulls a bazooka from the helicopter. Before the grizzly can reach him, Kelly fires at the grizzly, killing him in a large explosion. All right. Cool ending. There's a part 2 obscure, but has a few well-known actors. It sounds like the bear got excited at the waterfall. Yeah, why does the bear chase after women in the beginning? I just added the sequel to my list. I guess you're talking about Adrian's in the chat room now. I guess you're talking about George Clooney. Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen, and Timothy Spall. Adrian is talking about Grizzly 2 Revenge, sequel that was filmed in Hungary in 1983. It's got all these special appearances by lamestream actors. And I just added it to the bottom of my list at 3,793, or 30 years from now, unless I die first. Part 2 is on YouTube with free ads as well. So you can watch it on YouTube or Tubi for free. The idea for Grizzly began when the film's producer and writer, Harvey Flaxman, encountered a bear during a family camping trip. Co-producer and co-writer David Sheldon thought the idea would make a good film following the success of Jaws. Girdler discovered the script on Sheldon's desk, and he offered to find financing as long as he could direct the film. Within a week, Girdler was able to attend $750,000 in financing from Edward L. Montoro's Film Ventures International Movie Distribution Company. Grizzly was filmed on location in Clayton, Georgia, with many local residents cast in supporting roles. Catherine Rickman, who played one of the first victims, was actually the daughter of Clayton's mountain man, Frank Rickman. Though unintentional, the casting of George Prine, and Jaeckel marked the second time this trio of actors starred together in the same film. They had previously played supporting roles in the Western Chisholm, 1970, starring John Wayne. A Kodiak bear nicknamed Teddy performed as the killer grizzly bear. Teddy was 11 feet tall, and Teddy was the largest bear in captivity at the time. The bear was rented from the Olympic Game Ranch in Sequim, Washington, where he was kept behind an electric fence. The crew was protected from the bear by a piece of green string running through the shooting locations and a ticking kitchen timer. This resembled to the bear an electric fence. Actors and crew members were instructed to always stay on the camera side of the string. The bear did not actually roar, so it was tricked into making the motions of roaring by throwing several marshmallows into its mouth and then holding a final marshmallow in front of its face, but not throwing it. The bear would stretch for it. The sound was actually produced. The original artwork for the Grizzly film poster was created by popular comic book artist Neil Adams. No wonder the poster looks better than the movie. The film featured the role of the female park ranger, played by Victoria Lynn Johnson, who would go on to becoming the August 1976 Penthouse magazine Pet of the Month and the 1977 Pet of the Year, appearing in Smokey and the Bandit, as well as Angie Dickinson's nude body double in Brian De Palma's 1980 thriller Dressed to Kill. So we got to give Victoria Lynn Johnson some starring credit here. She was in Smokey and the Bandit. It has the actor from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Are you talking about the sequel still? Victoria Lynn Johnson. I like it how Karate Man and Adrian, they both tried to feed me little trivia tidbits to see if I know this stuff off the top of my head, which I don't. A lot of stuff that Karate Man and Adrian come up with is new to me, including the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay. A movie tie-in novelization by Will Collins, a pseudonym of Edwin Corley, was published in 1976 by Pyramid Books, and it accompanied the film's release. Critical reception for Grizzly in 1976 was extremely negative, with most critics criticizing the film for being too similar to Steven Spielberg's thriller Jaws. Vincent Canby from the New York Times criticized the film's poor plotting, cinematography, and editing. He wrote, Grizzly, which opened yesterday at the Rivoli and other theaters, is such a blatant imitation of Jaws that one has to admire the depth of the flattery it represents, though not the lack of talent involved. Donald Garisco from AllMovie gave the film a negative review, criticizing the film's script, cheap gore, and overuse of cliches, and saying this energetic but clumsy horror effort is too contrived and poorly realized to be worthwhile for most viewers. Yeah, most lamestream viewers. We like cheap gore on this channel. Film critic Leonard Maltin awarded the film 2 out of 4 stars, calling it okay, ripoff of Jaws. Leonard Maltin's assessment is the closest to reality here. Despite the negative reviews, Grizzly was the top grossing independent film of 1976, earning nearly $38 million worldwide, and it held the record until Halloween was released 2 years later in 1978. The film's executive producer, Edward L. Montoro, president of Film Ventures International, distributed the film in U.S. and Canada, and he sold the worldwide distribution rights to Columbia Pictures for $1.5 million. Man, this guy had a big return on investment, this Montoro dude. Montoro later tried to keep the profits to himself instead of paying the film's director, William Girdler, and producer-writers David Sheldon and Harvey Flaxman. The three sued Montoro and eventually was ordered by the Los Angeles County Superior Court to pay Girdler, Sheldon, and Flaxman their share of the profits from the distribution of the film. It's mine, Montoro says, it's mine. The original music score by Robert O. Raglan has been largely well received. Raglan commissioned the National Philharmonic Orchestra for the film's theme. The original soundtrack was finally released on CD and MP3 format in September 2018. On the film review website, Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 44% rating based on 9 reviews with an average rating of 4.6 out of 10. Grizzly was released on VHS by Media Home Entertainment. It was released in the Laserdisc format in 1984 by RCA Columbia Pictures Home Video, but only in Japan. The DVD of Grizzly was first released on December 2nd, 1998 by Shriek Show, and it was released on DVD by Scorpion Releasing on August 5th, 2014. Scorpion Releasing issued a limited edition Blu-ray in September 2015 exclusively through Screen Archives Entertainment. On April 21st, 2017, Riff Tracks released a video on demand of the film with comedy commentary by Michael J. Nelson, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett. In 2021, it was re-released region-free on DVD and Blu-ray by Severn Films. A sequel was filmed in Hungary in 1983. It was directed by Andrei Savats from a screenplay by David Sheldon and his wife Joan McCall, with Suzanne C. Nagy as executive producer. The film, about a giant female grizzly bear who seeks revenge after a cub is killed by poachers, features Steve Inwood, Louise Fletcher, John Rhys Davies, Deborah Raffin, and Deborah Foreman, with special appearances by George Clooney, Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen, and Timothy Spall. The film remained officially unreleased until 2020, subsequently being shown at various film festivals. Prior to its official release, a bootleg version of the footage shot for the film, not always coherent at times, circulated on VHS and DVD over the years. It was released on DVD and Blu-ray through Video on Demand and Home Video in January 2021, and it's free on both YouTube and Tubi. Are you telling me that Grizzly 2 Revenge, the year date for that is 2020 and not 1983? I'm going to put 2020, just like how YouTube has it. All right, Grizzly, 1976. Rate PG, 1 hour 31 minutes. Good time. It's a rather mediocre 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb, although it gets 6,200 ratings, which is not bad for a film like this. Low budget jobs ripoff. An 18-foot tall grizzly bear terrorizes a state park, leaving Ranger Mike Kelly, photographer Allison Corwin, naturalist Arthur Scott, and chopper pilot Don Stober to track down the beast. Meanwhile, the body count rises. And the bear gets tired of eating women, so it goes after men. And around the middle point of the movie, more like this: Day of the Animals, Alligator, Grizzly 2, Revenge. We talked about that, which gets a very low 2.7 out of 10 on IMDb. My kind of flick. And Kingdom of the Spiders. So I'm going to check out Day of the Animals, Alligator, and Kingdom of the Spiders. That's my next project. This film became the most financially successful independent film of 1976, earning $39 million worldwide at the box office and breaking several other records. Halloween 1978 broke the record 2 years later. Scotty describes the grizzly bear as cannibalistic after it kills and eats the bear cub that was set out as bait for it in order to trap and kill it. But the cub in the film is an American black bear, which is completely separate species than the bear they are tracking. Don Stover is quoted as saying, "Well, let me tell you a little story, boy. A long time ago, there was a tribe of Indians up here in these woods. They were all laying down in these parts or something. I can't remember. Anyways, this herd of grizzlies smelt them out. They came in and they ate them. They tore them all up. Little children, sick ones, everybody. There were few braves to go out on the hunt. They came back and them grizzlies turned on them. So there you got yourself a little situation, a whole herd of man-eating grizzlies just running around, tearing up them Indians." Arthur Scott says, That's hard. That's kind of hard to believe, Don." And Don Stober says, "Unless, of course, you happen to be one of them Indians." US VHS version of this film is rated PG, as was its original theatrical release in 1976. The DVD version of it is rated R, but there is hardly any difference between it and the VHS version. This was edited into Riff Tracks Grizzly 2017. Soundtracks: What Makes a Man, music by Robert O'Raglan, and lyrics by Arthur Hamilton. All right, here's a kind of similar review, although it's closer to the average, lower than mine, by a smudge. This review is written by Woodjack, dated March 11th, 2018. Giving it a 5 out of 10. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. The title of the IMDb movie review by Woodjack is Pause, or better yet, Claws. Okay, I think everyone going in knows that this is another one of those nature runs amok flicks. If you're a fan of these types of movies, you'll enjoy Grizzly. You won't be blown away or anything, but it's a nice little time waster. Grizzly was made 1 year after the hugely successful Jaws. It's obvious that the creators wanted to profit from that film's popularity because the plot is basically the same, albeit with a different animal, land instead of ocean, etc. The main difference, however, is that Jaws was a first-rate film, whereas Grizzly is strictly grade B. How can we tell? Well, first-rate films like Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or The Bridge on the River Kwai stand the test of time, although you can tell they're older films for obvious reasons. They're so well done on all levels that you hardly ever notice. Grade B films like Grizzly, however, do not postulate with creative originality. They lack that original pizzazz to set them apart. This is not to say that Grizzly isn't entertainment. It is, as long as you understand going in that you're seeing a grade B Jaws on land type flick We're not talking apocalypse now here. What works? The northern Georgia location, Black Rock Mountain State Park, is a pleasant surprise. If you enjoy deep forest adventure type movies, then this film's for you. The scene wherein the Bruin destroys a fire outlook post is good. What doesn't work, aside from the obvious Jaws ripoff and grade B film problems mentioned above, the grizzly in the picture doesn't look as big as they say it is. In the movie, the bear is supposed to be a prehistoric survivor from a million years ago, some 15 feet tall or so. Don't get me wrong here. The thought of running into a grizzly is frightening enough. Ask my wife, who had a nervous breakdown on the trail in Glacier National Park, Montana, one of only 2 areas where grizzlies still dwell in the lower 48. It's just that the bear doesn't look as big as they say it is in this film. Also, as with most grade B fare, the score is substandard and dated. Final analysis, think ripoff, think grade B, think pause or clause, and you won't be disappointed. Grade C+. All right. So Adrian's done talking to me. He's out of the chat room. Adrian and Karate Man have better things to do than to chat with an old guy ranting about old movies. Let's go down the list, shall we? Number 1 is Black Sheep, 2006. Number 2 is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, 1992. And number 3 is The Invisible Man, 1933. So those are the next 3 movies coming down the pike. Hope you enjoyed my 3 reviews today. And I'll be back Friday with more of the never-ending list of movies, television shows, and music videos. And what else? Shorts, documentaries, you name it. We'll cover everything on this channel. We've got something for everybody. Laters.